Yay!
Yay! What is up, everybody? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 248.
We're still in the 40s.
We've been talking about this for now almost 2 months. No, 2 months. It feels like we've been in the 240s.
We've been Groundhog Daying in
for
the
6
240s.
years. Yeah, we've been Groundhog Daying, Russian dolling for the last 8 years. Welcome to tonight's show. This one's going to be a good one because our guest tonight is very special. She's the holder of an incredible number of world records, American records, in all sorts of distances and timed events. This is just going to be great. Very recently, she just crushed the Tarawera 100-miler, and 2 weeks after getting in a horrible rollover car accident, the fact that she was able to recover so quickly and travel so far and run so well, leading the race outright for a majority of the day is just, it's bonkers. So Camille Herron is on the show tonight. We're going to talk to her all about what that whole experience was like and what her last 6 months have been like with all these records and everything like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So sit back, relax, and get ready. Ginger Runner Live begins now.
Ginger Runner.
Yay! What is up? What?
I just like that whole time. I could just hear Camille laughing in the background.
What you guys can't hear, our guest Camille, we're already connected with her and she can see and hear us, but what she can't see and hear is like the intro credits and stuff like that. So what she sees is just us bobbing to the music. But she's giggling in the background. You can't hear it yet because we haven't introduced her yet, but you will in a second. She's just a delight to have on the show. She's always so positive and she has such a great personality that it's funny what we can hear in the background. Welcome everyone to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 248.
We're up there.
Officially. Very excited about tonight's show. As I mentioned, Camille Herron is joining us on the show. A number of world records, American records, in all sorts of distances, timed events. The last year she's been on a tear, just crushing it. And most recently, she got in a pretty bad accident, car accident, a rollover car accident. Her car was totaled and she is okay. In fact, she turned around, traveled to run the Tarawera 100-miler and won within 2 weeks, like basically 2 weeks after her accident, which is insane. Can't wait to talk to her about that experience and traveling abroad and racing down there when we introduce her here in just a couple of seconds. But it's not only myself hosting the show. Ethan, hi, welcome.
Hi, Ethan. It's also me.
It's
Kim.
also Kim. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. As always, you guys, I am in the chat room. I see a ton of you guys, ton of regulars, and a lot of new people tonight as well. So welcome if it's your first time in the chat room. We are live with our wonderful guest here in just a second. So if you guys have questions for our guest, please pop them into the chat room. We'll be pulling the questions throughout the hour.
Yeah, I don't doubt there'll be a ton of questions for Camille tonight.
Yeah, already questions rolling in.
Okay, good. So get those in early. Kim pulls them aside and we'll get to them throughout the next 45 minutes to an hour as we talk to Camille. Before we introduce our guest, of course, there's a couple of individuals that we like to thank outright. First and foremost, our Patreon crew, those who support us on Patreon at $1 or above every month. They are the reason that these live shows can happen, our reviews happen, our films happen. Music, there's a new album dropping tomorrow, our race that's coming up, everything is because of our Patreon crew. So big shout out to all of you who support us there. And we also do after shows. Every live show that we do on Monday, we do an after show with our guests, and all of our Patreon supporters get to join us over there. 3 individuals in particular at the top tier that support us month after month after month are just amazing human beings, but they're also really great athletes in their own right. Chris Lee in Hong Kong showcases all the amazing trails over there through his organization called Trailblazer. He's an awesome human. Big shout out to Chris Lee. Brian Sands, who has this amazing journey, losing over 100 pounds, running his first marathon, first 50K, training for his first 50-miler. He had a bit of a setback recently, but it's not going to hold him back. He's already planning beyond that. He's an incredible athlete, and it's always awesome to have him on board. And finally, Rick Bjarnason. Rick Bjarnason from British Columbia. He and his team at Cheeky Monkey Media redid the gingerrunner.com website. If you go there right now, you can see all the flashy newness. It's a lot of fun, and it's very simple, which I love. I don't have to do much. It's kind of all automated, and his team just just hit it out of the park by making my job and my life so much easier.
True.
Keeping a website updated. They are professionals. So big shout out to Rick and his team for all of that help. I think it's about time we introduce our guest.
I think that's a great call.
Without further ado, one of the best runners on earth, Camille Herron.
Yay!
We've had guests. We've had you on before. We talk a lot.
Hang on.
What?
Gonna interrupt very quickly. We don't have audio on Camille.
Oh, is Camille's audio not coming through? That's my fault. Hold on, everybody. It would be my fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault, Camille.
Okay, how about now? Camille, can you tell us how that trip was?
Can you guys hear Camille now?
You hear me?
I think we're going to get a couple people going, oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah?
This is fun, says the live chat room. Wait for it.
Can't hear. No audio.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Success.
some success. Good. Okay, we're good now.
Good?
Yeah, the chat room's like 30 seconds delayed, so we'll make a change and they'll go, oh, there it is.
Oh, it's too bad you guys all missed that very important statement Camille just gave.
I now realize exactly what happened. It's my fault completely. I turned off Camille's audio. Long story short, basically,
it's our fault.
It's totally our fault. We'll have to figure out how to edit that out of the after show. So I'm going to ask that question again, Camille. Pretend like you didn't even answer because no one watching actually heard the answer. So you just got back from New Zealand. What was the travel like for you? And were you there for a long time, or what brought you back? I'm sorry to make you answer it twice. It feels weird. Even asking it twice felt weird. How was traveling?
Yeah, so here we go again. We went across the pond to New Zealand, and we were over there for about a week and a half, enjoying our time. And I had to get back to go be the guest speaker at the Moab Red Hot 55K. So yeah, we had these two back-to-back trips and a lot of travel, and now we're back home in Oklahoma. So.
Nice. Well, welcome back to the States. We've had you on the show. We talked to a lot of our elite guests about what it's like to travel and race, because I know from experience that it takes its toll on me anytime you travel long distances, sleep, time changes, all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How did you prepare for Tarawera, just to make sure that your body was ready, your mind would be ready, you had enough sleep and all that sort of thing? What's your philosophy on that, and what did you do this round?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the time difference is. I want to say that they're like the next day. But they're like maybe 5 or 7 hours. Hold on, let me ask Connor. How many hours behind are they? Or
where? Who?
Is it 19?
19, 20 hours.
I think it's like 19 or 20 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, New Zealand.
Like ahead, 19.
Yeah. So they're like the next day, and it's like lunchtime their time or so, or middle of the afternoon.
Right.
So, So I usually try to get there depending like on every hour and the country's like forwards or backwards, and it might be like 6 to 8 hours that I try to get there like a week in advance. So, we got there. I think we left on a Saturday, and we got there on a Monday. So it's kind of weird to like miss a day, and I basically missed Sunday and got there on a Monday, and we just tried to make sure we're sleeping when we're tired, and running, continuing to run twice a day, and just being my normal routine and such. So
that's interesting. So I guess we'll get to that probably as we start talking more about Tarawera, because I want to backtrack a little bit. But the just running the week of, the days before, hearing you just now say 2 a days. My mind going, that's too much. Who runs 2 a days the week before a 100-miler? But I'm like, Camille does, of course. And we'll get to some of your training strategies too, because I know that you have a very distinct training strategy, long runs, at a certain distance and not beyond that. I will definitely talk about that tonight. But I want to backtrack a little bit. The last few months have been incredible for you. The last year has been incredible as far as setting records, setting world records, 24-hour records, 12-hour records, 100-mile records. How are these important to you? Are they like a personal quest for you to get these, or were they accidental at first and now you're on a tear to try to get more? What's kind of your philosophy regarding these records and achieving these great epic feats?
Yeah, so I knew I had a special gift just from my first year in ultra running back in 2015. I ended up breaking the 50-mile world record back in the fall. I ran 5 hours and 38 minutes for 50 miles. So I kind of had it in my mind that eventually I was going to go for more world records. And kind of what was the impetus for me to start doing it was I tore my MCL at the check-in at 50K 2 years ago. And, I knew during the race I had done something really, really bad to my knee. And it was kind of one of those moments of, oh my gosh, my career could be over. And, and I went and got the MRI and found out that I'd torn my MCL. And this is 10 weeks before Comrades. So it was pretty darn traumatic. And yeah, I'm 10 weeks before Comrades. My knee is swollen like a small football. And I took 2 weeks off and I started back training. And I I didn't know if I could get in shape in time for Comrades. And so, I just kept plugging along for 8 weeks and was able to get myself back in shape. And it was really, really shocking I was able to do that. But yeah, I ended up, obviously I went to Comrades, I won Comrades. And then I went to run Western States after that. And I basically had my freak accident. I slid down a hill and hit a tree and had a concussion.
It was the snow, right? Like it was the high altitude snow up there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I just had some, I went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows
within weeks.
And within weeks, here I got myself back in shape. And so it was just this emotional roller coaster and that whole year. And I was, after I had won Comrades, I was kind of like, well, what do I do now? Like, how do I start setting more goals? And just knowing what I had gone through with my knee and then having the concussion at Western States, that was kind of the turning point for me to be like, okay, I got to make the most of my talent and my life. And I'm 37 years old. I've only got a limited amount of time to make the most of my speed. So yeah, that was just kind of the turning point for me to be like, okay, I gotta make this happen now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. So.
And I know that you've attempted the world record for 24 hours and all these different records multiple times, like at Desert Solstice and Tunnel Hill and all these other events that you've run. You've attempted to break world records and have failed in the past, but very recently you started to just chip away at these records. So are there any left that you want to tackle? Or was that it? Was the 24 hour, by the way, I want to remind everyone watching, Camille had to correct me before the show, but 162.9 miles in 24 hours. That's the world record at this point. 162.9 miles.
That's insane.
It is insane. And it's on a track that, doing loops around a track, which is of course the best surface for that sort of record, but also mentally like, come on, like having to do that over and over. So, okay, let's just a bit of respect there. But I'm curious if there are any other records that you were looking at.
Yeah, I'm definitely inspired by Yannis Kouros, who broke world records all the way up to like 1,000 miles. So, yeah, there's actually more world records going much further than 24 hours.
And further, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I've actually been trying to research like 1,000-mile races, and I know it's kind of mind-boggling. Like where does it end? And yeah, I think like 1,000 miles is the furthest world record.
Okay.
And so my thought is, there's the 48 hours, 6 days, 1,000K, 1,000 miles. So I'm like, well, why don't I, a lot of people run like the 48 hours or the 6-day type races, but, why not just go for 1,000 miles and try to break a bunch of records en route? So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, like maybe within the next year or so, try to go wherever there's a 1,000-mile race and see how many world records I could break. So.
I'm like, where there's 1,000-mile race, are there 1,000-mile? I mean, I'm assuming there's some track events that are the multi-day, multi-timed sort of thing. I want to make one specifically for Camille Herron. We're gonna get a track here in Seattle and be like, this is the Camille Herron 1,000-mile world record race. We'll get it all sanctioned. We'll do it all. 1,000 miles. That's amazing. So
it's incredible.
Kind of what I mentioned earlier, training. So we have some questions about this in the chat room. We'll get to some of these live questions, but I want to transition this into the Tarawera training and all your ultra training. You don't run longer than like 20, 22 miles on a training run. Is that correct?
That's right. And a lot of what I found out from training I've had a pretty long career going back to being a marathoner. And a lot of what I found out was almost by accident. I actually, when I started getting into ultra running, I ran my first ultra in 2013, and I was trying to extend my long runs to like 30 miles or so, 30 plus miles. And over a period of time, like I just found that I felt tired, like trying to increase my mileage, trying to increase my long runs. I was just like, I'm just not feeling great. And my first couple ultras were just kind of okay. They weren't quite as what I, had expected of myself, with my talent. And I just felt like, okay, I got to like try something different. And so I ended up going back to my marathon type training and shortening my long runs and doing more speed work. And that's when I started having all the breakthroughs in 2015, running 100K and 50 miles and such. So it was kind of like, stick with what works, whatever makes you feel good. I mean, I've been able to carry my training the way I train up to 24 hours now, and it's obviously, it's working. It's, making me feel pretty good. So.
I'd say it's working.
I'd say you're doing pretty well. You and I have talked about that in the past. I think last time we had you on the show, we talked a bit about that. And I remember being a little bit taken aback that no longer than 20. What is your longest training? Is it 20 or 22 miles? You're saying like 20?
I basically say like not more than like 3 hours.
Sure.
So, sometimes I might do like a hard 3-hour run, but other times I might be just going slow. So, I try not to go further than 3 hours, which for me might be about 22 miles.
Sure.
But when I set the 24-hour world record last fall, I guess my longest training run was when I went to the Grand Canyon and I ran across the rim to rim, which for me was like 22 miles. That was my furthest training run for the 24-hour world record. So
I love it because what I'm learning, the more I do this show, the more guests that we have on that have experiences like yours, where one thing works for you and it works very well for you. In some cases, we have athletes who they mound on a lot of mileage, right? So they're doing 20 miles maybe multiple times a week, or they're doing 30 miles on a Saturday and a 20, that sort of thing. And that might work for them too. I love getting these multifaceted looks at training, because I think it just kind of proves that everyone is different, and what works for one person may not work for another, and vice versa. But I really like to think 20 miles as a max distance is like, oh, good. 3 hours going out on a Saturday, and then I'm good. I can run a world record in 24 hours. That's good. But you obviously have years of training, years of mileage, and you're talking 2 runs a day. So is your weekly mileage above 100? Like, are you looking at that sort of thing per week?
Yeah. So I started running twice a day every day when I was in grad school, and I ran my first 100-mile week in November of 2006. And I've actually averaged over 100 miles per week for 12 years now.
Awesome.
So, I'm basically running twice a day, with one run that's a little bit longer than the second run, and 4 to 6 hours in between my 2 runs. And that's how I feel the best, and that's also what's supported by the science. Obviously I'm doing something right, and just sticking to what works. I mean, that's,
right.
I think like even getting into the sport of ultra running, I mean, I started reading on different training philosophies and ways that people trained. And, I tried to change things, and I just didn't feel good. So I think it's really important to be in tune with your body and not necessarily go with traditional ways of training. You got to experiment and figure out, what makes you feel the best. And I think that feeling good and feeling rested on race day is really, really important. A lot of people might be overtraining and don't know it. Like they're just training the way that other ultra runners train, and they wouldn't know to experiment or to try something different. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of my experience getting into it was, just try something. If it doesn't work, then try to mix it up. So
as a professional scientist, let me speak for a moment here. What I imagine is happening, and again, I don't really know, but the 2 runs a day and all of these long distance events that you're doing throughout the year, I feel like you're training your body for the pain and the impact of what you're doing. And so by doing these 2 a days and keeping the volume high but the distance is low, you're just teaching your body how to adapt and how to recover fast. And it feels like that's where all the success is coming from. I feel like it's only going to continue. So it's exciting. Like, I'm really excited to see where this goes and what else you have up your sleeve.
Yeah. Well, another interesting point was, like, I started reading and doing research on Giannis Corres, and he actually would train multiple times a day, like doing short runs at all times a day. And so I was, without even knowing what he was doing, I was already doing that as well. And there might be something to that, the frequency and being able to adapt to training at different times a day and how your body's feeling. I mean, I'm prepared for to run at any time of day, basically. So
if people watching live or listening to the podcast are not aware of who Giannis is, I highly encourage you to look him up. He's got just one of the stoutest resumes you'll ever see.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's one of those humans that he's one of those runners that you look at and he just goes. He does not stop. It is one of those never-ending runners.
Yeah, and it's all here. It's all here.
It's all mental.
Your head. Yep. Yeah, it is.
We have so many live questions. So Kim, what do we got for Kim?
First of all, I want to say we have people from like all over the world joining us tonight, which
Fantastic.
is pretty cool. Everybody's chiming in from all these different places, which is really cool to see. We have a couple questions regarding running in Oklahoma. The Gumby Chronicles asked, Camille, how do you prepare for races with a lot of elevation while living in Oklahoma?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're in a pretty pancake flat place, and when I started getting into more trail running and such, everybody told me to go down to Mount Scott, which is down near Lawton. It's about a 90-minute drive from us. And so yeah, there's this 3-mile road that goes to the top of Mount Scott, and it's probably about an 8 to 10% grade climb up to the top of the mountain. And so yeah, and I actually did a lot of, going back to grad school, I did a lot of I worked with professors that studied eccentric loading on muscle. And so I kind of knew that like getting in, vert, that it's something that you have to be really careful with. Like, you don't want to do too much hill running because it's very stressful to your muscles. And so our philosophy basically became to go down to Mount Scott like once or twice a month to get that eccentric loading from all the downhill running mostly. And yeah, and so like leading up to Comrades, we were going down to Mount Scott regular times, just hammering up and down that mountain. And there's also trails down there. So I would sometimes do a trail run or mix it up with the road, and being able to handle the variety of surfaces, because I'm going back and forth between road and trail and trying to mix it up. So yeah, I just whatever you're training for, like, try to prepare for that terrain, and whether it's road and a lot of hills and that sort of thing, or pancake flat track, or or, you know, running a mountainous trail race, like try to get used to that technicality. So
we get a lot of questions like that when we have guests like you or Casey Lichtai on. You know, Casey's another perfect example in Nebraska where, you know, just like you, crushing mountain races, even though training is limited to what you got around you. So it is possible. It's very possible.
Yeah,
no matter where you are.
Yeah.
More questions. Sorry.
A question from Austin in the chat room. Austin asked, Camille, do you have any plans or desire to attempt to set a FKT on the PCT or the AT?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, my husband and I actually bought a house up in Alamosa, Colorado, last year. So, I mean, I can see my career like evolving into more like adventure running and trail running, mountain running. I've got friends who actually did the PCT and that live up in Alamosa. In fact, I house sat for them about 10 years ago, and they were all talking to me about the PCT. And so, yeah, I would definitely seek them out as a resource to figure out, you know, how to prepare myself, because that's obviously quite the adventure and such. So
it's pretty cool, you know, at this being alive at this time, because we're seeing someone like Camille be big dog. Oh, I see a dog in the background. We love dogs on the show. I think it's really cool to be alive at this time because we're seeing people like yeah, I think
there's
the whole
always time
show
for a
is
dog
over.
break.
It's dog break. Dog break time. I'm just excited to see what comes next, right? Every month and every year, I can't imagine the adventures you have on your list. Your list is probably ever growing, but it's going to be really cool to see what happens. Cool. Let's get to one more live question, and then we'll start talking about the accident in Tarawera.
Yeah. Question from Doggy break.
Doggy break.
We need to have like a graphic that pops in for the doggy breaks.
I'll make it happen.
Question from the Gumby Chronicles. Camille, what is more important to you, a win or a world record?
Well, if you set a world record, isn't it a win?
The logic on that was sound. I think that answers that.
Yep.
So I want to talk a bit about the accident. So you, I saw the pictures of it, and I saw your story and your breakdown of what happened, and it was just, it's terrifying reading that, seeing the images. For you, what happened? Like, what was it like, and what was your immediate thoughts when you came to?
Yeah, it was definitely very, very scary. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to think that your life could end at any moment. I mean, even me just driving my usual safe route to work, and I mean, it's a sunny day, there's no other cars around. I'm just driving along, and here comes a car from a side street that just plowed right into me. Yeah, I mean, it was so scary that I mean, I just, it was almost like your life flashes before you when something like that happens. And I mean, I felt my car rolling over when it happened, and it was kind of like your survival instincts come into play. I actually bent my body over sideways when I realized my car was rolling, and I could feel the top of my car crushing in on me, and then my windshield blasted, and all this glass came flying into my face, and I was wearing sunglasses. I was actually, I gotta give credit to Nike, because I was wearing my Nike stocking hat and my Nike sunglasses and my puffy jacket. And yeah, and I mean, not all this glass, you know, all this debris like came at me, and then finally my car stopped, and I didn't know if I was okay, and I realized I couldn't breathe. I mean, I'm like a crumpled ball in my car. And you know, in that moment, I thought my car was on fire. I can't breathe. Like maybe my car is going to explode. And you know, it was very terrifying. I mean, thinking that, you know, I might die any second. And how do I get out of my car? You know, can I get out of my car? And yeah, and I mean, it was pretty horrifying. I mean, I didn't even know if I knew I was alive, but I didn't even know if my body was okay. And so yeah, I mean, finally somebody came, and opened my passenger door, and I was able to release my seatbelt and crawl out of my car. And I mean, I was like feeling my body all over the place. I was like, am I okay? Like, I did like an air squat, see if my legs are okay. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty horrifying. I mean, to me, it was the other driver had a suspended license, and there were reports when I got out of the car. There were reports that she ran away from her car, and yeah, and I don't know this. I don't know the full details on the police report, but apparently she was arrested. They got her. She was arrested, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy that, I mean, like something like that, just a bad driver could just take, anybody's life. Or the emotion that I felt afterwards, I mean, was just thinking like, here I'm in the prime of my running career, and, like any of us, I could die, any of us could die. Like, I can imagine, what happens, my family, my husband, it would just be such a loss to the world. And any of us, if I have any of us lost a friend or family member, I mean, it's just such a loss. So
I can't imagine. I mean, I've been in accidents in the past, but just seeing the photos of yours, if you haven't, go check out Camille's Facebook page. She has some pictures that she posted 4 weeks ago-ish, of the rollover. You can see her car is upside down, and it's just one of those things. I remember when I saw it and I saw the post from your husband, and it was like, oh my God, we only hope that Camille is going to be okay and that she's going to be able to just be normal again. Like, you look at the pictures and you think everything's broken.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is just to hear the story and to hear you retelling it. To think that you even still went to Tarawera is such a huge step. When did you make that decision? I imagine immediately after the accident, it was, we need to reassess and we need to figure things out. So when did you decide, like, yes, let's go?
Yeah, well, I did have like back pain and neck pain, and
I will guarantee that you will continue to have some of that come up over the next 6 months. There's late onset stuff, so obviously stay diligent. But sorry, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, like, even, just to turn my head, I was in a lot of pain, trying to sleep and, turn my head, and yeah, here to go run 100 miles is hard enough, but to do it, after such a bad car accident, I didn't know, the physical toll, the emotional toll. I didn't know if my body could handle, the stress of 100 miles. But at the same time, like, I felt like I needed to keep on living and doing what my body's meant to do. And I felt like it was it was really good for us to have a vacation like that, and to get away from the situation. And so, yeah, I think it was really good to be there and to be, around all the running community, and yeah, to be grateful for, that I'm alive and could do that. But yeah, I mean, for Tarawera, like, we had to run with compulsory survival gear. So it was my first time to run with a pack. And I hope that, going 100 miles with a pack, and a sore back, I hope that my body could handle that. And I got to give credit to Nathan Sports, because they sent me a new pack that was a lightweight, the Vapor Mag pack. And I tested out a couple times before we left for Tarawera, and it really felt good to me. And I felt I had enough confidence in my body that I was going to be okay, that my back would be all right. So yeah, we just went and did it. So
I'm blown away. I think that is an achievement in and of itself. Yes, the world records are amazing. The American records are amazing, but to be able to suffer such a terrible accident, turn around, and have that faith in your body and mind to be able to push through that distance is awesome.
Yeah, because accidents like that can be so mentally traumatizing.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just the even during the race, like I mean, I feel like I'm so grateful for what I can do, and the world around me almost feels more alive. Like I mean, I'm just noticing even over in Tarawera, like the animals in the brush, and I'm running a race, and I see the waterfall, and I see the animals, and everybody cheering me on, and even when I went through a bit of a bonk at the end, I mean, I just felt like I had to get to the finish. Like I have to keep pushing on, and to make the most of this opportunity. So yeah, I mean, those hard moments that you go through, outside of running, I mean, those can even fuel you to succeed and do well. So
I imagine you look at everything with a much different perspective, especially with it so fresh.
yeah.
That you're running in such a beautiful country with amazing people. And I mean, I only know that race through videos and photos and stories from our friends and stuff, and it just sounds incredible. So I imagine there's that essence of just appreciation for everything around you, from the leaves on the trees to the animals, the sounds, the people. I commend you for being able to put that pack on, to put those shoes on, to stand up and be able to run that 100 miles.
Thank you.
As we get to some more live questions, please, if you have questions for Camille, drop them into the chat room. On a more lighthearted note, well, your car that you drove, it was a Subaru Outback. We're fans of Subaru.
We are.
We are not
Yes.
sponsored, but
There's a
Subaru,
lot of Subaru fans in the chat room
if
right
they're
now.
watching, please get at us. But we also have a Subaru, and we love it because it does everything that we need up here in the Northwest wholeheartedly. You are obviously looking for a new car. I would love for our live
Subaru, if you're watching.
But our live viewers are a great source of information and advice. Is there anything you're looking for in a vehicle? We will help you pick tonight on the show. But is there anything you're looking for in a vehicle at this point?
Obviously the safety of the car. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that Subaru had everything going for it. I mean, we had a 2018 model, an Outback that we just gotten like last June.
Right.
So yeah, I had Starlink. Starlink is a system that is, I think it's usually something you get for free for a couple years. So I mean, I want to have that system for any car I have, because my car was able to call 911 for me, and I was able to get the emergency out. So that was really, really critical. But yeah, as far as other features in a car, I mean, we're going to be driving back and forth to Colorado and elsewhere. And so yeah, we want to be able to carry our dogs, carry our stuff, like have pretty good gas mileage. But yeah, we're kind of looking at everything from fuel efficient SUVs that to be able to get around. But yeah, my actual dream car is a Mercedes Sprinter van.
I'm like secretly like, yes, do that. I know that Camille, she's been posting a bit about her desire for the big Sprinter van. I'm like, yeah, do one, build it out.
Yeah, so I think we're going to focus on the car part right now, but we're doing our research on the Sprinter van, and yeah, I think here, that's kind of our dream vehicle, to be able to travel with our dogs and go train and explore America with our dogs. So
great. So for the live viewers or those who listen on the podcast, Camille's looking for hot takes on cars. Has to be probably all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, I'm assuming, based off the traveling to Colorado.
Totally.
Enough to lug the dogs and gear around, stuff like that. Nice adventure car and potentially a Sprinter van. But provide your recommendations in the comments, and we'll see if we can talk about that in a little bit. So what's crazy about the Tarawera race is not only did you start fresh off of an accident and having to deal with that and all the travel and everything like that, but you led for 90% of the race. What was going through your mind at that point? Was it just this incredible freedom to race, the thankfulness to be able to run? Were you pushing harder than you would normally push in a scenario, or was everything just clicking?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to do the 100-miler just because I wanted to get in 100-miler before Western States. because I haven't done that before, as far as, on a more technical, like true type of trail. So yeah, I wanted to do the 100-miler to go that distance, and then also to race, some pretty good men. And I mean, Jeff is such a legend. I think I was looking at his ultra sign up record, and I think he's run 100 miles going back to like 2004. So the guy has it dialed in. I mean, he's just so incredible. I mean, he's so methodical about how his approach to 100 miles, and he's a machine. Like, I don't even.
Yeah.
He's done so many 100-milers, like even just the past year, that I mean, to be able to race someone like that, I mean, it was a real honor for me to race him. And but yeah, I mean, coming from my going from track to more technical type of trail, I mean, that was a total different change in environment. And I had it in my mind that I was actually stepping down in distance, because I mean, I ran 162 miles, and going to 100 miles, I'm like, oh, that might be a little bit faster.
That's a valid point.
So, but yeah, I knew that Tarawera had some strengths. For me, it has a lot of road sections, a lot of fire roads, and they're pretty smooth and fast. But I mean, that middle part where it gets really technical, and when people don't necessarily know, what that is, because it's not necessarily mountain type of technicality, but it's like tree roots, like tropical. I mean, maybe it's like the Hurt 100 or something, like, tropical type of forest where you have to use your hands in places to lift yourself up, and all these like big gnarly type of tree roots, kind of like you would see in the movie Lord of the Rings.
Right. Literally filmed in New Zealand, so probably exactly what they have in the movie. They don't have that in Oklahoma.
No. I mean, I knew, because I'd run the 102K before. I mean, I knew it had this really technical part with all the tree roots and rocks, and so like I tried to practice my technicality as best as I could, trying to move quickly through that without falling. So yeah, I mean, I knew the course was going to be a little bit of variety, and just. In my mind, when I run 100 miles, I'm going out and running at 75% of heart rate effort.
Okay.
Which is, kind of like a steady long run type of pace. Which for me, I mean, my 100-mile world record is like 7:37 per mile. Which is pretty fast, for that distance. I mean, I knew, being on the road sections, I could roll, stretch out my legs and go pretty quick. But on the technicality, it's all about, just trying to be safe and to move through those parts. But yeah, the hardest thing for me going from track and road to the trail is, I mean, the aid stations are further apart.
Right.
And it's very remote as far as like getting crew support. I think I had a stretch in there where I went like 50K without seeing Connor. And so I had to make sure that I had enough gels and, was getting enough support during like just from the aid stations. And yeah, so that was the hardest thing for me was, I mean, I ended up running into some energy issues towards the end. I actually think I forgot to take a gel or two. And during that middle technical part, I think I just I was probably so focused on the technicality, that I forgot to take a gel. And I at the time, like, I was kind of like, well, I'm feeling okay, just keep like, I was like, I'm feeling okay, but eventually it caught up to me that I started to bonk, and and I just wasn't getting in enough fuel, and then when I finally did see Connor and I got in some more gels, it was kind of like my blood sugar just kind of like spiked, and I started like, it just started making me feel really woozy getting in all that sugar, and I think I had maybe one too many beers.
For those not familiar, Camille loves beer and apparently Taco Bell on these long run efforts.
Yeah, I got 2 beers actually. I got the Coupe. I'm not drinking beer right now because I'm actually gonna go for a run after I talk with y'all. But I got the Coupe F5. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
And then and then I got the Rogue Dead Gael, which is the one I usually drink during races. So
What's great about the Dead Guy Ale? It's thicker, it's darker. It definitely is like it's almost a meal, right? It's a meal in a can,
yeah,
extra calories.
it is. It is.
Yeah, I was curious about what kind of happened physiologically towards the end of that race. Obviously, Jeff was behind. Camille was leading the race. Jeff Browning, for those unfamiliar with who was racing, but Jeff, obviously, we've had on the show before. Incredible ultra runner, one of those, like you mentioned, legends of the sport. Just dials it in. So yeah, there was a point when he ended up passing you very close to the end. Last 15 miles, 10 miles or so.
Yeah.
Was it a physiological thing? Was it a climb? Was it a technical trail? What was it that sort of ended up bringing you from first to first female, but just behind Jeff?
Yeah, so I mentioned I'd gone a long stretch without seeing Connor, and I was running into some fueling and hydration issues by the time I got to him, and so he tried to load me down, and just took in a lot of sugar really quickly, and then we had to do a technical climb like right after that, and it was almost like all the blood went to my gut and away from my head, and I started getting like pretty dizzy. And so and then we had a long stretch until we got to the next aid station. And I was hoping I wouldn't pass out, and fall over on the side. But as far as like my legs, like I wasn't really tired. My legs weren't tired. Like I was still like, even when I was running, like I could run really well, but I was just trying to like keep my head on. And my energy was just like really like roller coastering. And it was just all like nutrition and fueling that I just made some mistakes there. But yeah, you learn from your mistakes, and I've just got to be really diligent, when I'm on these technical trails and the aid stations are further apart, like make sure that, I'm keeping on top of my nutrition. So,
well, as much as you would consider them mistakes, it's obvious that you still crushed it. You won the Tarawera 100-miler. You took it in. First female is just incredible. That finish line looks beautiful. What a beautiful thing. I believe they're doing a haka at the finish, welcoming you in.
It's amazing.
Yeah, what was that like to expend so much energy over so many hours and then arrive to this beautiful ceremony?
Wow.
Congratulating you.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, even like the last couple of miles, like you're going through like these like sulfur hot springs, and it started getting dark at that time, but you could smell like, the sulfur, that kind of stinky type of smell. But yeah, I pretty much had a smile on my face the whole day. Like I couldn't wait to get to the finish line because I knew it was going to be like pretty spectacular. And once I crossed, like you try not to like fall over,
right.
and then they start doing the haka, so they're like in my face, like doing this haka, and I'm like, woo.
I can't even imagine. I mean, the videos are incredible.
Yeah.
It is I can't imagine that moment for you and for Jeff and for the top leads. It looks incredible, but in my mind, I'm also going, oh, please don't pass out. Like, Camille, stay standing. Jeff, stay standing. Because you immediately stop, right? You're faced with these humans right in front of you, so you can't just run it out. You actually have to like stop and stand. I'm like, oh God, that's intense. Well, huge congratulations, Camille, on just crushing Tarawera.
Yeah.
Amazing, especially 2 weeks after the accident. And it's astounding, and it is really, really neat to follow along with your adventures. I hope that you continue to push the envelope and continue to prove what the human body can do. Before, of course, we wrap up this main show, let's get to maybe one or two more live questions, because we had some really great ones in there in the chat room that we didn't get to during the conversation.
Yeah, there's a question from Vivian from earlier in the show. She wanted to know, since your accident was so close to Tarawera, how did you manage the recovery from the accident before the start of the race? So did you have to do anything special between the accident and the race? Take days off?
Yeah, I actually went and saw my chiropractor. So I'll give a shout out for my chiropractor, Kevin Jones. He like popped my head, and you can't imagine how good that felt. Like it was like I never had my head pop like that, and it was like, whoa! It's like that really, really helped. And but yeah, I had a lot of back pain, and so we were trying to work on my back, and Connor was trying to massage me, and I still I had like a big like knot in my back or something, and even from like sleeping on the bed over in New Zealand, I don't know if I was sleeping funny, but like when you sleep in a different bed with a different pillow, like it can kind of like throw you off. So I felt like doing interviews before the race, I was like, it's like, oh, I'm really stiff. Like, I hope I can run 100 miles.
Right.
But yeah, I've got my two healthy legs, and I just went out there and did it. And but yeah, we're still trying to work on my back, and just getting massages and try to loosen everything up. So
nice. Let's get to one more live question.
Yeah, there's a question from Chris in the chat room just regarding the boat at Tarawera.
Yeah.
Chris says, do runners often have to wait for the boat? If so, how long of a wait is possible, and does that play into any race strategy?
Yeah, so apparently I was on a slower boat than Zach. So, in fact, looking at my GPS, I think my mile split was like 419. So maybe he went like 350 or something like that.
Wow.
On the boat, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like, further behind, like if they wait for more people to come through. I mean, at that point, it's like I think like 30 miles or 50K into the race, and so I don't really know. I mean, they get across pretty fast. So it was like, I said like 421 or whatever it was. And then maybe they get back across and, catch more people. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely a fun part to take a boat. And yeah, and it actually helped my time rather than hurt it. I mean, I could have run a 421 mile to save my life. So.
Well, regardless, it is an incredible result. Camille, huge congratulations to you. And since we haven't caught up in so long, congratulations on all the records and everything that you did over November, December. And I can't wait to see what this year holds. I'm assuming you'll be at States this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other goals in the immediate future?
Yes, I'm going back to the Lake Sonoma 50 miler in April. So, yeah, like that was actually my first trail race 3 years ago. And, I had a hamstring injury when I ran it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to going back, and I'm obviously I'm healthy. I'm more experienced. I think it's going to be a really good race. And, yeah, the people in Healdsburg are awesome too. So, yeah, I just love that race. And yeah, so I'll be there next, and then I'm going to be trying to do the Comrades Western States double. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I could pull it off. That'd be pretty epic.
I mean, already it's like I'm going to call that the triple, the Lake Sonoma 50 Comrades and then Western States. It's a pretty big chunk, but if there's anyone on earth that can do it, it's Camille Herron. So huge congratulations again, Camille. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they follow up post show? I know that you are coaching now and you're taking clients and stuff like that. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm very active on social media. Like I love to interact with people and give advice. And but yeah, my Connor, my husband Connor would say, make sure you give a coaching plug for our coaching website. So yeah, we started coaching last year, and it's been really wonderful to be able to give back to the sport and to help people. Even going to Tarawera, we met some of our coaching clients, and so it's really cool that we've been able to coach people all over the world. And people are doing, not just me, but the people that we coach are doing amazing things as well. So that's been really cool. And then also we're putting on a camp next summer. So Camp Camille is happening. The first camp Camille. We're really excited. We're going to put on this camp from July 5th to the 8th. Up in Alamosa, Colorado. So I love that place. I can't wait to share the magic with everybody, that all these cool places that I train at up there. And yeah, so we definitely like to get people to come and hang out with me and have good food and good beer and have a good time. So
I love it. That's great. I think there'll be some emphasis on some good beer, especially if you have the Rogue. Just Rogue alone. Will there be Taco Bell?
I don't know about Taco Bell.
Get them to cater it. We'll make some calls. We'll see if we can't get them to sponsor Camille, Camp Camille.
Yeah.
Amazing. So everyone watching or listening that needs to follow up and wants to either register for the camp or check out coaching or follow Camille and ask more questions, you know exactly where to do that. Thank you so much, Camille.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Of course, Camille will be joining us for the after show here in just a couple of seconds for our Patreon crew. So if you have not already, consider joining us over there at patreon.com/thegingerrunner. For as little as $1 a month, it supports the channel, supports everything that we do here, and you get access to after shows. Every Ginger Runner Live episode has an after show where you get to ask those questions that didn't get asked during the show. And there's a lot tonight, so we'll get to that, including talking about what Camille posted on her Instagram and social media today about kids like yelling at you because of your stride. It's this thing that I wanted to talk about, so we'll talk about it in the after show. I just want to punch the kids in the face because it's like she's a world record holder. How could you? We'll talk about that later. Couple reminders: new album drops tomorrow on all platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, everything. If you like the music that I do for all of the videos and running trail running films and stuff like that, we have a brand new album, 13 brand new original tracks will be dropping tomorrow on the new album Deceptions of Light and Shadow. I encourage you guys to go get it. The last couple of albums have done really, really well. It was like blown my mind. I'm hoping that we can get onto the iTunes charts again. It'd be really, really awesome. So if you like the music that you hear on the videos and stuff like that, tomorrow, new album. And also there's a race. We have a race. I can't believe it. RunTigerClaw.com. Kim and I put together pretty much one of the most brutal 22-mile races you'll ever see. 22 miles, 8,200 feet of gain, and it's a choose-your-own adventure. There's different routes you can choose. It's strategy-based. It's pretty fun, pretty cool. There are 32 spots available in this race on May 4th. Left.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. There's 200 spots, but the 32 left. Event is on May 4th. RunTigerClaw.com is where you can find out all the information about that. And before we wrap up the show, the new segment that we have for 2019, we want to highlight members of our community, viewers, people who support us. We want to support you back. We have a new segment on the show called Crew Member of the Week. And this week we have a pretty damn amazing story. There were a lot of races that took place this last weekend. One in particular, Trans Gran Canaria, took place over off the coast of Spain. Our good friend and guest of the show, Caitlin Gerben, placed second on the women's side, just crushed it. She's a local runner. She'll be at Tiger Claw, which is pretty cool. But we got another story from one of our viewers from overseas. Tristan Lee wrote this. Just finished the Trans Gran Canaria 360, which is the longer Trans Gran Canaria race. It's 170 miles, 40,000 feet of elevation gain in 3 days, 12 hours. It was a brutal race and my second 100-miler. This is a self-sufficient, unmarked course with 5 aid stations to help you along. Plus, I had a run-in with another GR crew member. A man from Prague came to our aid station as we were passing through a town and was out of water. He saw us laying under some trees trying to cool down, and he recognized my GR shirt. He ran back into town and created his own little aid station for us to get some water, Coke, and some candy. That stuff hit the spot. So congratulations to Tristan Lee on completing the Trans Gran Canaria 360. And I hope we figure out who this man from Prague is. The fact that there are 2 GR crew members on a small island off the coast of Spain is amazing.
That's
It's
so
amazing.
cool.
It's just a testament to how global this community truly is. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Ginger Runner Live episode number 248. We're going to do the after show here in just a couple of seconds. We'll see you there. Get out there, train hard, race harder, and part of the hardest. I know I am. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Ginger